Hello and welcome to CTV News Across Canada for Friday, November 14th. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
The new report from the Macdonald-Laurier Institute says violent crime is up in almost every urban centre across the country. The report says that mid-sized and smaller metropolitan areas, including Halifax and Moncton, are matching the national trend of violent crime growth.
And we think that it's important that policymakers have this information.
Dave Snow is a co-author of the report, which has expanded in its second edition to include smaller cities. The report says violent crime in Moncton is comparatively high.
Moncton has the highest violent crime rate of these 20 cities, where every homicide is equivalent to every minor assault, right? That they're both counted as one in the violent crime rate.
Moncton has the fifth highest violent crime severity rate, an index where the most serious of crimes, such as homicide, are weighted to have a larger impact on the rate.
Which is still not good. So that is actually, to me, probably the most meaningful measure of how bad violent crime is in a community, because it doesn't count a homicide as the same as a minor assault.
The report says Halifax experienced a jump in all of the categories examined: homicide, robbery, aggravated assault, and sexual assault, along with the broader violent crime rate and violent crime severity rate, for which Halifax saw a 21% increase.
Clearly, violent crime has risen over the last 10 years.
Chris Lewis is CTV's public safety analyst and says social and economic issues are a root cause of many crimes, adding that law enforcement numbers are not where they should be.
A lot of police services don't have enough people anymore to meet the current needs with the evolving crime and more organized crime and technology needs, etc.
Regardless of political persuasion, let's be clear about what the data say. Violent crime is up. I think just about everyone in this country would agree that more violent crime is a bad thing. So what do we do about it? Let's get that conversation going.
Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
Traffic on the early morning commute sitting at a standstill after a fatal collision on the 401 just west of Ayr, involving two large trucks.
Both traveling eastbound, one of which had collided with another in the rear of that commercial motor vehicle.
Ontario Provincial Police Constable Matthew Foster says the driver of that second truck behind the other one was a 26-year-old man from Brampton who died at the scene.
I'm sad to say that the driver of that CMV was pronounced deceased at scene. The driver of the other commercial motor vehicle was uninjured. Our thoughts are with the deceased's family and loved ones at this time.
This was the scene along roadways parallel with the 401, many drivers taking a detour to get around the tragic scene, while the eastbound lanes were closed for the investigation. While the cause of this crash is not clear, police are reminding people in a week where a number of serious collisions have taken place that it's crucial to be aware of your surroundings.
We want to remain vigilant while traveling on the roads. That road conditions can change very quickly. Just give yourself some extra time, and we just want everyone to drive safely and get home to wherever they're going.
Meanwhile, investigators poring over the scene, collecting evidence. And as police continue the investigation into the cause of the collision, they're asking any drivers who are passing through the area at the time for dash cam footage. Ashley Bacon, CTV News.
By the Verspeten Family Cancer Centre, nurse practitioners are changing the way cancer care is delivered, making it more accessible, efficient, and compassionate.
Nurse practitioners are an essential part of our cancer care team, specifically in genitourinary oncology. They're able to see patients sooner. They can address their concerns and questions and answers.
By working alongside oncologists, nurse practitioners, or NPs, are helping reduce wait times and improve continuity of care. In just 1 year, 2 NPs at the center managed nearly 1,000 patient visits, saving the equivalent of 62 clinical days.
There's a lot of positive feedback from patients. Patients really enjoy the discussions that we have about what does their PSA mean? What is the purpose of these treatments? the side effects they're experiencing, why I'm experiencing these side effects. So different aspects of the disease and the side effects of the treatment of the disease is the main focus. So patients appreciate that dialogue.
The number of nurse practitioners at the center has grown from 3 to 13 since 2017, a reflection of their expanding role across multiple cancer types, including prostate, breast, and lung cancers.
We get to know people and what they've been through. Can usually get into some deeper conversations about what their cancer means to them and where things are going. So kind of not afraid to broach those more sensitive subjects about end of life even, once you've kind of gotten to know somebody.
With 1 in 2 Canadians expected to face a cancer diagnosis, oncologists say expanding MP-led clinics is critical to meeting growing demand.
Now our clinics are full. We could probably take more gentlemen with prostate cancer, but there's just no space.
LHSC says the collaboration helps ensure every patient receives timely, compassionate, and expert care through every step of their cancer journey. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
Brandon Aaron will be spending at least 14 years in prison, sentenced by Justice Jill Cameron after a jury of his peers found Aaron guilty of second-degree murder in June for stabbing and killing Good Samaritan David Goddard on the side of the road 3 years ago in Bradford, when Goddard came to the aid of Aaron's teenage girlfriend, whom Aaron was assaulting along Holland Street after a night out drinking.
I am hoping that he uses that time wisely, 14 years before he gets parole.
Aaron will be serving a life sentence with no chance of parole for 14 years. Goddard's family hoping Aaron understands what he's done.
Whether you get parole is entirely up to you.
Aaron claimed he killed Goddard in self-defense in the early morning hours of September 4th, 2022. The jury didn't buy Aaron's story that Goddard was the aggressor and Aaron feared for his life before stabbing Goddard repeatedly. Aaron, who left the 59-year-old lifeless on the side of the road, went home, changed his clothes, and visited with family. His beaten girlfriend was taken to hospital with a broken arm. The couple had got into an argument that night over Aaron being drunk and losing her cell phone. As they searched downtown for the phone, and Aaron became violent. The court heard he pulled out a knife and threatened he'd kill her. That's when Goddard, who was walking by, stepped in to defend the teen. Hours later, while speaking with police, the teen received several messages from Aaron asking her, "Can you please just save me? You're all I got."
I have every expectation that Mr. Aaron is a good prospect for rehabilitation and will pay back some of the issues that arose as a result. At the end of the day, this case is finished. It's a tragedy, and what has happened has happened.
Ayers hoping Goddard's death prompts change in Aaron.
Please make up for what you did for Dave by turning your life around and make up for it.
Upon his release from custody, Aaron is banned from having weapons on him for life and is not to communicate with the family of David Goddard. Mike Arslides, CTV News, Barrie.
The Limbo restaurant in Little Italy has received high praise from critics and customers alike. But recently, something odd happened online.
I woke up and I found that we had started to receive a lot of negative reviews. And at first it was really frightening, I guess, because we rely on, unfortunately, we rely on feedback.
Zapatelli and partner Harrison Shuchuk suspected the reviews were fake.
And a lot of them had like a lot of, quite glaring mistakes. And they would talk about food, but they were talking about a lot of food that we didn't sell in the restaurant as well. Like sushi and burgers and fries.
Several other well-regarded Montreal restaurants received identical bad reviews from similar anonymous accounts. One came with a warning: call an overseas number and we'll restore your reputation.
And they wrote her back saying that they would want $200, which made this feel really stupid.
The owner didn't pay and instead turned to Google to force the removal of the reviews. Fraud experts say it's a new twist to an old scheme.
Not surprising at all. In addition to technology, they're always looking for easy ways to steal money from us. And it seems like a new, but unfortunately, simple way for them to try to do so.
In recent years, this type of extortion popped up across Canada and the U.S., sometimes costing businesses thousands in lost sales and reputation.
Anyone can write a review, they can say anything. You know, someone could write a review and have not even come to the restaurant.
Experts say customers should be wary about accepting reviews as factual. And in extortion cases, police and cyber experts insist on one thing.
We would always advise not to pay the amount that they're requesting, just because there's no guarantee that they're going to stop asking for money.
And at Limbo, the co-owners say they hope customers will spot the difference between real and fake reviews. Stéphane Giroux, CTV News.
This private property, known as the Capital Region Resource Recovery Centre, is already a landfill, but it could become a City of Ottawa site and expand by a lot.
The community fought tooth and nails against this project from the get-go.
Lucy Regenbold doesn't like the idea for its location or the cost.
And there were many issues we had raised with the province, and I don't think any of them were ever even heard. So we had, first of all, the health hazards. Look at the 2026 budget. The property taxes are going to go up. So, and then you throw in this landfill, lots of money. And we don't have it.
The city is in talks to buy the site off Boundary Road from Taggart Miller Environmental Services. Here's a look at how the property compares to Ottawa's Trail Road landfill in size. Trail Road is 200 hectares, covering nearly 500 acres. The new landfill covers 475 acres. Residents fear the site may be allowed to accept garbage from much of Ontario close to Toronto. Ottawa's mayor says the city could avoid that scenario.
The question is who will own and operate that landfill. It could end up being another municipality that owns the landfill and trucks garbage into Ottawa to put in the landfill. It could end up being a private company that has clients all over the region, all over Ontario. Or it could be the City of Ottawa that ends up owning the landfill.
Regenbold is skeptical.
Toronto has issues, we know. They don't know where to bring their garbage. And here we are. The City of Ottawa making more money from other people's garbage.
The Trail Road landfill is expected to reach capacity within a decade to 15 years. The city implemented a 3-item limit to deal with the issue, and starting next year, the city will send 60,000 tons to private landfills. It is not known what this site will cost city taxpayers. Staff estimate a new landfill could cost as much as $760 million. The Capital Region Resource Recovery Centre is the only landfill approved by the Ontario government in more than 2 decades, with an expected lifespan of 30 years. Meanwhile, the Finance and Corporate Services Committee will hold a special meeting on Friday, November 21st to consider whether to purchase the property. And the councillor for the area, Isabel Skalski, plans to hold office hours on Monday at her Metcalfe ward office to discuss the proposal with residents.
They're being called student and family support offices. The thought behind them:
give students and parents easier access to information from the school board.
Everything from how to print a report card to more complex and contentious issues. The offices will be set up first at 5 boards under supervision, using existing staff who'd been working with trustees. Other boards will have to come up with a personnel plan to stand these offices up by next September.
It's window dressing when the real problems in schools are being ignored and not addressed. Class sizes, special education, mental health.
He's just sort of throwing something at the wall and seeing what's going to stick to try to address what has now been a massive gap in the system that he's created.
Parents have complained that in supervised boards, they can't get problems resolved, concerns heard. So these offices?
It would be helpful if it's with the guarantee that trustees are going to remain, and furthermore, just strengthen the role that trustees have.
Political critics believe these offices prove the Minister of Education intends to eliminate elected trustees.
I haven't brought any advice to Cabinet yet, Siobhan, honestly.
The plan is to map out what's next for school boards by the end of the year. Calandra says whether trustees are part of that or not,
these offices were going to be put in place. I was really, truly flabbergasted to learn that boards just were not monitoring. The trustees themselves were not monitoring the types of calls that they're getting.
This sideline TDSB trustee says at his board anyway, that's just not true.
Often superintendents and staff close the file before we feel things have been taken to the point where folks are satisfied.
Saying he was keeping tabs on hundreds of files. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Canada Nickel's Crawford Nickel project, located about 40 kilometers north of Timmins, is on the brink of becoming the largest nickel sulfide mine in the Western world. Today, the federal government named it a nation-building project.
I can tell you that when, for example, China put export restrictions on a number of critical minerals, many major manufacturers were close to shutting down their operations. That's not good for Canada. That's not good for our allies. The reality is nickel is one of those commodities that are being manipulated today. Crawford is a step to debottlenecking or reducing that stranglehold on critical minerals.
The label puts a project in the fast lane to getting built quicker.
This clear sign from the federal government that this is a project they want to see go forward makes those discussions that we're having with partners in Japan, Korea, and other G7 countries move that much quickly.
Hodgson says the federal government is putting up approximately $6.8 million, and the investment will help the company attract the capital it needs.
What we want to do is enable things so that the private sector funds it. And by it doing that, the next mine that comes along, people will say, hey, Crawford did it. We can do it too. That's the goal.
Selby says as a priority project, he's hoping that will also help Canada Nickel access future funding envelopes and permitting quicker as well. The company also has a first-of-its-kind Indigenous ownership deal with Tako'atagamu Nation, which the company says is the largest ever First Nation investment in a critical minerals project. It also has partnerships with several other First Nation organizations.
That's something that doesn't happen overnight, but over 6 years, we've built the relationships, we've created the opportunities, and very much looking forward to working together with them to make the project a reality.
Selby hopes with today's designation he can welcome everyone who was here today back for a grand opening next year at its property on Highway 655. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Timmins.
Court heard Bloodvein First Nation first set up a road check stop at Rice River Road to prevent the flow of drugs and alcohol into the nation. However, the Wildlife Federation claims that turned into a blockade later in the summer. And licensed moose hunters are being turned away, unable to access these game hunting areas. MWF is calling the action unlawful and is asking for an injunction. Bloodvein is calling for the motion to be dismissed. The First Nation acknowledges it does not have the right to keep hunters away. However, it says it's crucial to keeping drugs and liquor out of the nation. Bloodvein says without the check stop, the lives and health of its community is at risk.
Taylor, what did the province have to say about all this?
Well, Mayor Lee, their lawyer says the province is not taking a position on the matter. He also says the province's view that Rice River Road should be accessible to all Manitobans. The court adjourned until Thursday, November 27th.
What looks like a cute critter to many is a major problem for producers.
Gophers, even though they're small, the damage that they're doing is quite extensive.
The Agricultural Producers Association of Saskatchewan says Richardson ground squirrels, commonly known as gophers, are growing in number, causing significant crop damage and creating burrows that can injure livestock. It's calling for strychnine to be reinstated, saying current pesticides are more expensive and less effective.
That's certainly contributed to the fact that the gopher population has been exploding, and particularly in some areas in the southwest.
The once common pesticide was banned for use on Richardson's ground squirrels in 2023 and banned entirely last year. It has long faced criticism for causing an inhumane death and for the risk it poses to other wildlife.
The poison stays in the system even when the animal's dead, so if it gets eaten, and if the death isn't instant especially, they'll get hunted by another animal and that animal will get poisoned.
Saskatchewan Crop Insurance Corporation says last year it paid about $10.6 million in gopher-related claims on about 123,000 acres, about twice the size of Saskatoon. Last month, Federal Agriculture and Agri-Food Minister Heath MacDonald said he would support an emergency exemption to use strychnine.
Will you support producers or provinces if they apply for the exemption?
Would I?
Yes.
Yes.
The Pest Management Regulatory Agency which falls under Health Canada, not agriculture, would have the final say on an exemption. APAS calls Minister McDonald's comments encouraging and says it'll continue to push for an exemption before spring, when gophers begin breeding. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
In 2 weeks, UCP members will vote on 35 new ideas for the party. Among them, Policy Resolution 27, a call to end the practice of community water fluoridation because it constitutes medical treatment without consent.
There's money in causing people to be frightened.
Many can't believe it's a subject being brought up again. Fluoride was reintroduced into Calgary's water system after 62% of voters said they were in favor of it in 2021.
The people of Calgary want fluoridation. They know what happened when it was taken. They had a decade of decay and they're fed up with it.
Anti-fluoride groups are currently in court and say they are lobbying the province to take away the naturally occurring mineral. Like some south of the border, they believe fluoride is dangerous.
Only about 205,000 Calgarians voted for water fluoridation in 2021, and about 130,000 voted against it. But right now, there's about 1.8 million people that are being fluoridated.
Of course, no decisions have been made, and UCP policy resolutions aren't automatically turned into law if members vote yes. But they have often been a jumping-off point for future legislation.
I think it's just another case of the UCP in general wanting to control everything in municipalities. The overreach that they've already shown is it's pretty significant and quite appalling.
The party, the municipal affairs minister, and the constituency associations which submitted the policy resolution all denied interview requests.
We are continuing to work with municipalities who would like input into that decision making. But, Mr. Speaker, it is a municipal decision at this point in time.
And dentists are hoping it stays that way.
It's proven to reduce cavity risk in communities that have it, across all ages, but especially in younger children. We really are acting in everyone's best interest and kind of against our own by suggesting fluoride go in waters.
The AGM starts November 28th in Edmonton. Tim Brook, CTV News, Calgary.